According to the CDC, some of the most current obesity rates in America say that 40% of adults and 20% of children and adolescents are obese. A stark increase from the 1970s where the obesity rate was 15% among adults and only 5% among children and adolescents. That is a 167% increase among adults and a 280% increase among children and adolescents in the last 50 years. What the heck is happening here? We'll be talking about all of this and more on today's episode of the Back to Basics Health with Coach B.T. podcast. Welcome to the Back to Basics Health with Coach B.T. podcast. I'm your host, Coach B.T., and today we're going to be talking about obesity, where we are now, how we got here, and how to improve. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode. Let's dive in. Let's start with first defining obesity. Obesity is defined as having a BMI or body mass index of greater than 30. Severe obesity is defined as having a body mass index of 40 or greater. And overweight is defined as having a BMI of 25 or greater. BMI is a measurement of body weight relative to height, determined by dividing weight in kilograms by height in meters squared. Here's a BMI chart. BMI is not a perfect measurement tool, in part because it does not factor different body types. For example, an athlete carrying more muscle mass may be labeled overweight according to the BMI, but actually may have a healthy weight. Other metrics for obesity include body fat percentage, waist circumference, hip circumference, and waist to hip ratio, something I wish to discuss further in future episodes. Global and national obesity rates are based on BMI. Global obesity rates have been skyrocketing over the last several decades. In 1997, the World Health Organization declared obesity to be a major health problem and a global epidemic. According to the World Health Organization, in 2016, more than 1.9 billion adults worldwide were overweight and 650 million were obese, tripling the worldwide prevalence of obesity between 1975 and 2016. In 2016, 124 million children ages 5 to 19 were obese worldwide, compared to only 11 million children in 1975. How did we get here? Evidence suggests that the most likely cause of the obesity epidemic is changes in the American and global diet, particularly related to the rise of ultra-processed foods, also called UPFs. The obesity epidemic first appeared in the United States between 1976 and 1980 and appeared in both genders, all age groups, and all ethnicities. Obesity rates have continued to increase steadily until at least 2016. Other factors, including genetics and epigenetics, do not appear to have played a significant role in the obesity epidemic because these factors cannot explain why the epidemic appeared in different age groups at around the same time. A reduction in physical activity appears to have only played at most a minor role in the obesity epidemic. But why? Between the 1960s and 1970s, there was only a moderate decline in work-related physical activity. And in the late 1970s and 1980s, the exercise boom started, which appears to have increased people's physical activity outside of work. These two factors, the decline in work-related physical activity and the exercise boom, are grossly inadequate in explaining the rapid increase in obesity in the 1970s and 1980s. Obesity typically occurs when energy intake, such as food and fluids, is substantially higher than energy expenditure in physical activity. The rise of the obesity epidemic has ushered in the rise of type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, metabolic syndrome, fatty liver disease, some cancers, breathing problems, osteoarthritis, gout, diseases of the gallbladder and pancreas, kidney disease, pregnancy problems, fertility problems, sexual function problems, and mental health. Obesity is not the single contributor to the rise in the occurrence of these things, but is an overall significant contributor. Excess body fat also increases inflammation in the body, causing low-grade chronic inflammation due to excess fat itself becoming inflamed and the body actively fighting to repair those damaged tissues on a continuous basis. Obesity also starts a negative feedback loop in which it can be difficult and even painful to improve diet and improve exercise and mental health. But it encourages behaviors of poor diet, lack of exercise, and poor mental health practices, thereby increasing obesity and poor health. All of this may sound pretty doom and gloom, but I'm really hopeful and I see solutions. I see solutions to the obesity epidemic in 3 major parts. Number 1, regulatory solutions. Number 2, systematic solutions. And number 3, taking personal responsibility. Number 1, regulatory solutions. There is no question that our food regulatory agencies have severely dropped the ball, to put it nicely, allowing harmful substances to permeate our food supply. These agencies do not allow substances that have immediate dramatic negative effects, such as imminent death or harm for the most part, but they do allow substances that cause chronic problems that develop over time, reminding me of Lauryn Hill's "Killing Me Softly," with our foods killing us slowly. We need to push for better regulation to stop harmful substances from entering our food supply, and we need to push for better testing to identify truly harmful substances earlier. Number 2, systematic solutions. Everywhere there are groups of people, there are systems designed to keep those people safe. Systems typically encourage desired behavior and discourage undesired behavior. Systems should be assessed and reassessed to ensure they are succeeding in promoting desired health outcomes. When it comes to a healthy population, the question today must be asked, is the system designed to create healthy outcomes, or does this system need to be adjusted to promote positive health outcomes? There are lots of systems that should be keeping us safe, but are failing to keep us healthy. Are the systems that you live in promoting positive health outcomes? If not, I encourage you to be the change agent or to choose healthier systems. And number 3, taking personal responsibility. Taking personal responsibility can be a tough thing to do. It often requires humility and grace. In order to take personal responsibility, one must be able to, number 1, admit you have shortcomings. Number 2, understand you cannot blame others for your shortcomings, even though others may be involved. Number 3, place responsibility on oneself to create new outcomes. And number 4, cultivate a level of graciousness that allows you to deal with failure and disappointment well, picking yourself back up and becoming a better person in the process. Taking personal responsibility is critical in the fight against obesity and for overall health. If you don't choose health for yourself, who can you count on to choose health for you? Obesity is a global problem started by systematic factors and is now like a fire raging out of control. If you are obese today, it is not wholly your fault. There are systematic forces that have caused this global epidemic, but it will take your personal responsibility to lose weight and to become healthier overall. Keep doing great work and keep tuning into this podcast as we help you get back to basics. You've been listening to the Back to Basics Health with Coach B.T. podcast. I'm your host, Coach B.T., and I want to thank you for checking out today's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next time.